Welcome back to Changing Latitudes. Today we're doing hydroseeding. We're going to hit the entire 4 acres of this property that needs to be done with 2 different types of seeds, with one being primarily for the field and the other for this turnabout area and the parkways that we want to get done. So it's really a big day today as we look to get all this taken care of all at once. Be back with you in a second. So obviously we've been tearing up a lot of earth lately, and as a result, exposing the ground to all these weeds and everything else. And the fight between trying to plant, just seed plant in the spring, and the weeds is just the weeds have won. Weeds won, zero lavois. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we get this done all at once. So we have all the rock done at the reservoir and the creek now, and we're ready to go in there, as well as the top side that's been prepped. So as you can see behind me here in the turnabout, it's actually ready to go, set up for success, and the guys will be here shortly. So we're going to go with Jonathan Green's Black Beauty here on the top side in the parkways and in the backyard. And then there's a local horticulturalist that's actually going to provide a DuraTurf for the field. And what I'm doing there is it's a slow growth fescue that only gets to about 18 inches tall at max. So as there's several areas down there, it's just simply difficult to mow. So I'm going to go ahead and let those kind of grow up, and then I'll mow probably the other areas twice a year or something like that. So the idea being that the field is obviously something that I don't want to be managing aggressively like I will the top side with our turnabout in the parkways in the backyard. So we've already had this Jonathan Green in front of my parents' house, and we've actually fought the fight a little bit there. It's a beautiful grass. It looks great. It comes back to life. It's got 4-foot, supposedly 4-foot roots, so that it survives the drier periods of August and September. And so we're excited about expanding that now everywhere with the hydroseeder. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and cut to the action and show you what we got going on.
As we watched Jack pour the hydro mulch with the Jonathan Green seed in it onto the bare surface, I thought it would be important to pause and talk a little bit about what preparation had went into this area. There is an extensive irrigation system with approximately 160 heads that will support these areas that we will be hydroseeding today. It is something of a long journey to get here. We actually started off hoping that we could leverage our well to support all these areas with our 2 cisterns, totaling about 5,000 gallons. When you did the calculations of the flow rates out of the well, the storage required, we had a system. And we entered the very first spring of putting together the Jonathan Green grass in front and around my parents' part of the property, and quickly found ourselves running into issues with the well. So as I searched for a secondary source of water in support of the effort that was to come with the parkways, the turnabout, the backyard here, I really kind of felt that there was only one option, and that was what we accomplished, as you saw in prior videos, which was the reservoir. The calculation went into effect, came up with somewhere around a demand of about 400,000 gallons, and we went forward and built the reservoir and now its subsequent extension pond to be able to pull that water up onto the top side here and irrigate, meet all of our irrigation needs. That irrigation system's so extensive, and we put a lot of effort into it. One could argue that there could have been some other path or acceptance of what we had seen on the property prior to, and that's of course true. But this is what we wanted to do, and this is what we wanted for a look. And as a result, it's obviously, this is a big day here with the hydroseed to ultimately cap off. Now, the perfect cap will be when the green stuff pops out of the ground in the spring.
Well, oddly, the hydroseeding is the easiest part of the journey. We actually have to prepare the soil, prepare the ground, and remove all the turf that was there already. And of course, I've got large piles of that piled up off to the side. There's a ton of work that went in prior to this. When the ground is, got weeds, and then it's got, got the turf on it, and none of that was working for me. It was basically 3/4 weed and 1/4 maybe grass. So I had that torn up, pulled it out. I didn't take a lot of video of that. I just basically said that, that was kind of mundane. This is more exciting. But did a lot of preparation to get to this point.
Let's talk a little bit about the hydroseeding process in mid-October. We can, in North Idaho, obviously plant in the spring or in the fall, best times of the year to do so for both, either way. I did notice in the spring that I was fighting several conditions that I felt in the fall I did not have to face. In the spring, you have to be a planting expert. The weather has to be right, the ground soil has to be right, you're fighting rain possibilities, a lot of overcast. You're fighting the ground temperatures coming up from the winter freeze and landing those seeds appropriately timed. You're also fighting, oddly, some of the natural migration of all the birds landing on the ground. There's just a ton of things going on. And then within 3 degrees of that ground shifting, say 55 up to 58, you now start to see the seeds explode from the weeds. And so what we found ourselves, and this is all new to us, coming from Southern California, you're used to just rolling out a lawn. You can almost roll it out in the winter if you wanted to there. But you're able to really hit your question real fast. Here, particularly given the large amount of area, you have to plant at the right time. You got to have the weather working with you. And what I found was when I did the dry seeding in the fall after a couple freezes, I actually had more success. The ground temperature, when it comes on, the seeds are already there. This snow had melted off, pushed those seeds into the ground further, right below the surface, and it was just right conditions, so it pops out. Yes, the competition for the nitrogen in the ground, it starts to happen, and the weeds do start to form, and you have to stay on top of it either way. But it felt like, maybe just in my case, that we had gotten ahead of it a bit when we did the fall plant. So that's why I went with this. Also, too, with October here this year, every year is different up in North Idaho, but in this year, we had a window where the ground was not quite frozen yet, but it wasn't going to germinate any seeds. So we also had to be concerned if it got too cold that the tactifier within this hydroseeding mulch would not stick to the ground, which was some of the effort here, is also to keep the soil stable throughout the winter and make sure that we didn't have any excess runoff of soil or sediment and what have you. So the goal here of planting in the fall is obviously no expectation of the grass popping out of the ground. We had no water to support it. Yes, we had just finished off our reservoir, but as you may remember, that the reservoir is filled by a draw, a seasonal draw that only happens in mid-winter. So we just didn't have the water yet. And as I explained earlier, our cisterns did not have the capability of supporting this size of a lawn areas.
It's amazing how much faster that cannon shoots out. He just did double the area in probably about a fifth of the time, if not more like a seventh of the time. It was really impressive. I don't know about the detail level of that though. You know, of course, you see brown, you think you got a problem. We really don't. It's just a matter of it, you know, covers at different rates a little bit from section to section. So, you know, he'll get that all taken care of here when he comes back for the cleanup on around the house. He's right now breaking out the hose.